Now, according to OBS, I have sound now. Interesting. Test, test, test. Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. I think I have sound here. It looks like I have sound here, but do I have sound on camera 1? Da 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 da. Oh wait, that's not gonna help either. But maybe it will. I don't know. Where's the thing at? Mic in, and then if I put it here. Testing, testing. Do I now have sound? Okay, so now I have sound. Is it echoey? An echo now. Okay. Now I have sound from the camera. Test, test, 1, 2. Okay, so that's working there. But if I turn, the second I turn on my flippin' test. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm so confused. So right now I have on-camera sound, right? And the on-camera sound is kind of wretched. So I'm very confused as to what is happening. So yeah, once I turn on the Forge, you guys aren't going to be able to hear me like at all because I have, you know, because of all of the ambient noise. So I have no idea what just happened because I mean, seriously, I had sound for all of like forever and now it's acting really stupid. Test, test, test. Okay, so that's functional. And if I press, or if I put, I have on camera sound, but if I plug in my external microphone, I have no. Alright. Maybe that would work? I don't know. Test, test, test. Oh. I guess what's gonna happen is I am going to put that there, and I'm gonna record separate audio because that camera doesn't have enough like stuff, or it doesn't have enough I don't know how to explain it. I need to it won't filter out the ambient noise like it has been in the past. So, okay. Ad is starting now. I apologize for all of this scuff. I'm trying really hard. Every time I mess with the sound, it gets worse and some craziness happens. Okay. All right. Well, oh wow. That I've had that on for like forever. Okay. So we have sound there. We have sound there. All right. So we're having a lot of technical difficulties today. We are actually probably going to have some really kind of poor bandwidth a little bit later because my partner is is home because it's a snow day, and so they're editing from home, and so they're streaming their edits, and so yeah, hopefully, you know, we don't run into that issue. But yeah, I know you're paying. Computer audio is such a mess to deal with. It really, really is. So today is wow. It's 1:43 right now, but no, that's not the date. The date is 2/12/2025, and I'm doing that so that I can kind of sync this audio with the cameras for my YouTube tutorial video later. So the sound is going to be a little bit iffy on this VOD. Hopefully, I'll be able to sync the audio and it'll be alright. Hopefully. So first off, I'm gonna turn on the recording. And what is happening there? Okay. Huh. I wonder if that is going to affect... Okay, let's see if that was affecting it. There's some kind of weird camera setup going on. You might be in and out. Okay. Oh, did I say February 12th? Ugh, it's been a day, man. It's so been a day. Let's see if one more time, I'm gonna try this sound shit, and then if I can't get it to function correctly, then we'll just use the on-camera sound. All right, testing, 1, 2. Testing. Okay, and I'm not getting any sound, so I guess we're just going to use the on-camera sound today, and I'm going to figure it out later, I guess. So yeah, it's fine, ping, if you need to be in and out. Yeah, this is one of those days. All right, so let's start the recording there. That way I can kind of figure this stuff out. Turn on. And maybe this will work. Yes, it will. And we're going to record that one. All right, cool. So now I have all my recording set up. And now I can just start setting up the rest of the stream, I guess. So what happened was I actually tried to download an application to kind of duplicate my audio from the left channel to the right channel, and I think the application is messing with the sound in general. So I think the best way to deal with this is probably going to be to get rid of that application. So I will do that for Friday. Today's stream is going to have some nasty audio, but when I put the VOD up on YouTube, I will resync all of the audio. So it will be up tomorrow, probably 10, 11 o'clock Central. So yeah, that is the plan. Let's see. So I've decided that we are going to use stainless steel today for our spoon. So I've cut a nice section, a 4-inch long section of 1/2-inch stainless steel stock. And that's what we're going to make our spoon out of. So let's see about turning on the forge. Hey guys, I'm Ray and we are streaming blacksmithing. Alright, so I hope that you guys are still able to kind of hear me as best as possible. I know that it's going to be a lot harder to hear me, so I will try to speak loud. We hear you. Okay, cool. Let's see. Is there any way that I can actually, like, equalize this a little bit? Filters, maybe. Do I have anything in OBS that will allow me to diminish the ambient noise? Ha, there's a compressor. Let's see. Noise suppression. Let's go with that. Okay. Theoretically, I should be able to get a little bit of noise suppression from that. Is that any better with the programmed compression? Or, I mean, noise suppression. Okay. So, theoretically, that should work a little bit better. Yes, it muted. Yeah, that helps. Awesome. Awesome. If I can't fix it with, you know, my audio, or, you know, my microphone, maybe I can fix it within OBS. So it seems to be doing all right for the moment. It looks like my bandwidth is a little bit crazy. What's happening here? There we go. Awesome. Okie doke. So, like I said, I've been working on sound again, and you can always tell that I'm working on sound when I completely and totally fuck it up. So I apologize for that. I will do, you know, I will uninstall that program and go back to the way things were. I'm just trying to make it easier, you know, for you guys to be able to hear me on both your right and left speakers or headphones. So that did not work. I will try something else next time. So yeah, I don't really have time to uninstall that program right this second because I think I would have to restart the computer and then it would be even later, and I'm just gonna do this for the moment. Alrighty. So, today we are doing a spoon. Alrighty. So I was pretty happy with the spoon that we started on Monday. It is, when it cooled down, it's still kind of on the dark side. So it still kind of looks like regular steel and not really like stainless. But I think if I went through and used a steel brush on this, like or like a wire wheel on this, I think that it would brighten up real nice and easily. So we're gonna continue working with our stainless steel.
We are, though, not going to use any, or we're not going to twist the handle today. So we're going to do a little bit of a different handle. We're going to start really small, and we're going to kind of gradually taper it down, and then we're going to allow it to get to taper back. So I think instead of doing the upper left design, I think we're actually going to do the upper central design. And so we've got a really skinny at the top, and we're going to widen out at the base. So I think that's the design that we're going to go with, because I still haven't found my bending bars. And I think that I need those in order to get that good twist in there. So we are doing the best we can for the moment. We're a little bit scuffy today, but it will work. Everything will work out in the end. So we're actually supposed to get about 9 inches of snow today in the area. And I think that's kind of crazy because it snowed for about an hour, and it was like a light dusting. Like, we didn't even get a half an inch of snow for that hour. And so I kind of feel like in an hour, if we were going to get 9 inches, we would have gotten a little bit more snow. I think that we would actually be like, starting to cover the sidewalk, but we're not even, I mean, there's barely any snow on the sidewalk and on the driveway and, stuff like, So I think that we probably won't get the whole 9 inches, which is good. It's just kind of like a waste that my partner didn't end up going into work today. It's a lot easier for them to work from the office than it is at home. So, yeah. Alrighty. Let's see. We need a little bit more heat, so I'm going to talk about the video the edit that I'm doing of the tongs. I'm working on that one. I have compressed the 16 hours of footage that we had down to just under 2 hours, which I think is a pretty good amount of editing. We've already gotten the first 2 days down to 8 minutes, which I'm pretty impressed by that. It's been actually it's taken me a little while to do, but we're getting there. So that we should be done with that by the end of Friday. Hopefully, I'll have it for you on Thursday, but there might be just like a couple little edits here and there that I need to do on Friday. So I'm gonna plan for Friday, and then I'll let you, it'll be a surprise if it comes up on Thursday. Didn't even realize until today that the last 2 storm systems got winter storm names. Stay safe in the ice. Yeah, there is supposed to be so much ice going on. A little bit north of here, not even that far from here, they were supposed to get like 2 inches of ice, or like rain that froze on the drive and on the roads and stuff. So like all the stuff has been like canceled, and school, and a lot of people have stayed home from work. But yeah, I just haven't seen it yet. So we'll see if it's kind of going to come later on, maybe like overnight or something like that. It's moving a little slow, I feel like. So yeah, I will have our video done by Friday, and hopefully I'll have it for you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I'm down to 2 hours or under 2 hours already, so it should be pretty good. I should be able to finish it up tomorrow. And then I'll post that up on YouTube for you guys to watch. It's a much more condensed version of our tongs tutorial or of our tong streams in a kind of more of a tutorial form. So look forward to that. I'll post that in our Discord as well once that video has been uploaded. Alrighty, let's get moving. So we are going to start on the horn of the anvil this time. And we're kind of trying to break in that back end, that material, because we're trying to get a nice back end that's a little bit thicker than our taper. So it's a good start. And we'll go on all four sides. Hopefully my sound isn't being weird with my recorded lav mic sound. I'm hoping that, I'll be able to overdub better sound later. So for my video for the tongs that we made, what I've been doing is the sound from my lav mic seems to be the best sound that I've been able to get. So I will be duplicating that sound over from the right or the left channel to the right channel. So it'll be stereo once it's on YouTube. But it'll be just a little bit better sound than when we have to go to the anvil cam. I know you said before that stainless can lose heat faster than mild steel. Yes, it can. It just doesn't stay in the material nearly as long. So we have a lot less work time, and doubly so in the first couple heats as the forge is heating up and the material is heating up. And then the steel of both the hammer and the anvil is also incredibly cold. So as we continue working, we'll get a little bit of extra work time because the metal and the air is going to be sucking out a little bit less of the heat from the piece. Do you notice that it deforms at a different amount with the same hammer? Yes, it does. It takes a much heavier hit in order to move the material. Especially when it is colder. It's kind of like, so I would say that it is the difference between yellow gold and white gold. And I know that there's a lot of you that probably doesn't mean a lot for, but the difference between a yellow gold and a white gold is that there is nickel in the white, or not nickel, it's kind of a little bit of nickel, but like some other white materials in that alloy. And so it's a lot harder. So when it becomes a solid, it turns a lot harder. Every time you add a material into gold, it increases the hardness of that gold. So yellow gold is much softer than white gold is, and it's the same with the mild steel that we're using versus the stainless steel that we are currently using. Hello, Bearded Gaming Dad. Welcome in. I'm glad to see you all here. So today is a little bit of a scuffy stream. I tried to mess with the sound, and that's why it's kind of scuffy, because every time I mess with the sound, I screw something else up. So right now, if I plug in my lav mic, which is normally what I use for the sound, that's why it's always in mono, it will, or like it's muting the sound on my wide camera, so I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna uninstall that program And hopefully, you know, Friday it will be the, you know, back to our usual sound. Yep. So I've got a little bit of sound canceling, or like, you know, not sound canceling, but like sound compression on the OBS. So hopefully the sound is a little bit better than it would be without that. And we'll see what we can do. The door is wide open and it's kind of on the colder side today, so I'm going to close that a little bit. Got to keep it just open enough that I can get that ventilation, but keep it just, you know, closed that less of the air comes in. Okay. This time I'm going to go to the anvil cam. So we are continuing to kind of taper back the base of this piece. We kind of want to, you know, make the, you know, the very end a little bit wider than we want to, and we want to immediately taper it back to kind of give us a little bit of extra design. And we're starting to see that, like, it taper in and out in like a, I don't know how I would call that. Kind of like a pinching effect starting to form on this piece. So instead of doing a twisted handle for this particular spoon, we're going to try and taper it back with like a very straight, very smooth, like kind of a smooth handle where it like it expands in like a horn, or like a horn almost. So it's all skinny and then it gets bigger at the very end. I'm not entirely sure how I would go about, you know, describing it. What would it be? Fluted, maybe. Is that the right word? Fluted? I mean, maybe. Yeah, I think that's the right word. It's very hard to hear what you're saying. Yeah, I know. It's my sound. I'm so sorry. Let's see if there's anything I can do. I doubt it, but you never know. Let's see. Can I uninstall this program and still be streaming? I think that'll probably be a little weird, but we'll see what we can do. We will go with documents for the moment. Yeah, my laptop is not being incredibly helpful today. What is happening? The entire computer is starting to freeze, I think, is what's happening. Oh my goodness. This is what I get for trying to do this while I'm streaming. Okay. Okay, where is it? Yeah, I'll have to mess around with the sound a little bit more later on. I can't deal with it right now. It's being stupid and slow. So I apologize for the sound, guys. So obnoxious. I feel the need to like fix the sound every time someone asks me about why it is the way it is. And every time I try, I screw something else worse. So we're trying to fishtail this piece. So it is it'll thin out closer to where the spoon is and flute out at the very end. So we're starting to make some progress, which is always good. I think I want that end to be a little bit smaller. So I might actually start tapering that back in a little bit further on our next heat. The noise canceling is cutting out a lot. Okay. Filters. All right. All right, so we have cut out the noise cancellation. So hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit. There's probably gonna be a lot more forge noise right now, but hopefully you guys can hear me better. Is that the case? Maybe? Cool, we can hear you. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to fishtail the end of this spoon. It's a little bit wider than I want it to be right now, so I think for our next heat, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the size of that very end piece of the spoon. And then we're going to really try and taper that back so that we've got a nice skinny handle. A little more roar and a lot more ray. And the forge, we're okay with that. Awesome. Well, I'll do the best I can. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, every time I try and fix the sound, something else screws up. So, I will uninstall that program. So my ad is starting soon, and I will refresh my clips on my cameras, and then once the ads are over, we will get back to forging. Refresh that clip. And now, refresh that clip. Excellent. Alrighty. So it's actually a lot warmer in here than it started with the forge going. So that's pretty nice. Maybe I'll be able to take my coat off. Maybe not. It's like 32 degrees. But yeah, it seems to be warming up in here a little bit more than I had anticipated. So hopefully, you know, I can get rid of the coat. It would be really nice. It kind of restricts my movements a little bit. Alrighty. Ads going. So we got about a minute to go before we can pull the material out of the forge. So how about you guys? Are you guys having weather patterns, or I guess, I mean, obviously everyone's having weather patterns, but like, are you guys having severe weather, like lots and lots of snow and ice, or are you guys, you got good weather? I was kind of editing all day, so I didn't get a chance to do much in the way of like, looking up weather patterns and stuff, or like looking up the weather, I guess. But I also wasn't able to watch Ping's stream today because I've been working with the sound a little bit, so I can't listen to any music while I'm messing with the sound. So what, is it really snowy in your yard, Ping? Maybe he's out. I'm north of all the stormy stuff. It's just plain cold here. 5 degrees. Ugh. That is disgusting. I hate it when it's that cold. Alright, so I'm really liking about that size. I think that's a good size for the very, very end of our silverware. I think that's a good amount of like handle and grip on that silverware. So we're going to go back to the horn and we're going to continue drawing back towards the spoon, the bowl area of that spoon. It's snowy, but we're getting more tonight at 10-ish, 3 to 4 inches. I don't know where to put it. Yeah, I mean, you've been getting so much snow, Ping. It's like, I feel like every other time I watch your stream, your yard is covered in snow. And I mean, snow is nice until you have to like shovel it off of your driveway by hand. That's always obnoxious. Driving in it is also a pain in the butt. especially when you have, or like when you're driving a rear-wheel drive vehicle. It's obnoxious. I really hate snow. It's really pretty, but like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. You know, removal and travel and whatnot. Yes, that's how we do it. Yeah. So, let's see, what else is going on? Yeah, I think most of what's been going on is just me editing. I've already spent about 10 hours editing the video. So that's really what I've been doing lately. But I mean, it's still one of those things, well, I guess it's more like 6 hours. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, you put together like large quantities of footage and then you have to watch a lot of it back. I don't have to watch all of it back because I have a transcript and I can kind of make my own script that I can use. But it's kind of, you know, still it takes a lot of time and effort. Okay. So we're going to try and fishtail that back again. A little bit further. So we're starting to get a little bit of twisting going on and a little bit of moving. So for our next heat, we're going to try and straighten that out a bit. And then we're going to start working heavily on tapering this back. It is hammer time. Hammer time, hammer time. So I'm really happy to be here today. Like I said, the bandwidth, or like my partner is home, so it's always really, really hard for me to kind of get motivated to, you know, edit and get out here and do the stream. Because it's just so easy to sit in front of the computer or the TV. And yeah, so it was a lot of effort to get out here, but I'm very glad that I made it. So there is a chance that if the bandwidth gets a little funky, I might have to end the stream a little bit early. Because my partner's getting paid, and while I do get a little bit of pay, I don't get quite as much pay as they do. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So far, it seems to be pretty good, as far as I'm aware. We've gotten a little bit of laggy, but I think that was mostly when I was trying to uninstall that program for the sound. Alrighty. So when the stream lags, we know it's Netflix time. Yes, exactly. My partner is actually my partner also does a lot of editing and is a video guy. And so he's editing on stream right now, so like his boss can watch him, I guess. So at least that's what or my understanding of it. So I guess we're both streaming on the same Wi-Fi at the same time. So I wasn't sure how much bandwidth we'd each get. Seems to be doing pretty good. So we've been able to kind of straighten this out and center it a little bit further. We've taken out some of that bending and that twisting. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn this around. And then we're going to isolate out the section that we need for the spoon or the bowl of the spoon. And then we're really going to start tapering this back so that we get a lot more length on that handle. So yeah, it's really starting to warm up in here. I'm actually pretty comfortable. A lot of times it gets really, really cold in here when I'm out here forging. And I'm just like shivering on the inside, trying to stay as still as possible. But right now it's actually pretty comfortable. So that's really exciting. So, you know what? I totally forgot to change the title of our stream today. Whoops. I was trying to deal with that sound problem and I just like completely forgot to change our stream title. So I guess it's all right. You know, people knew where to come and find us, so I think it's all right. It's all right, yeah. One of these days in like maybe a year, I'll be like a pro at this and I won't have nearly as much stuff. Maybe. I mean, that's good wishful thinking, right? So I know that there are some streamers that just like, it's all scuff all the time. I would like to get better at this though. Put those mods to work, right? That's all right. I try to make Ping's life easier. We don't have a very large community, so I don't feel like we need like a lot of mods, but Ping does a great job, you know, helping me out with like the raids and shout outs and things like that. Some of the smaller mod stuff. And that's really all I'm looking for you know, for Ping to be, or to have to do. Hopefully, you know, if once we get bigger, we'll add a few more mods and they can all work together. But I try to make things easy though. Maybe I'm not, I don't know. I try. Whoops, it helps when you press the correct camera. Yeah, all right. And of course, as I am struggling with my computer stuff, I'm also struggling with my blacksmithing a little bit. So what we're doing is we are isolating the material. Here. We are isolating the material where we're going to add the bowl in. I think that's a little short for what I want to do. So while we're still kind of putting it in, or I guess establishing the area for the bowl, I'm going to move it back a little bit. We'll be able to fix the little shelves that are starting to form. But yeah, that is our goal today, or right now. Might want to consider a bot. Put in some timers for things, commands. Could have an ouch counter and fun things. Enjoying it and having fun in your channel, mod or not. That is my YouTube channel. Thank you for posting my YouTube channel, Ping. Yeah, I do want to add a bot. I haven't figured out like how to do that yet, so I really need to figure out which bot and how to do that. I think there's like is there like a mod bot maybe? That's a much bigger piece of steel than I made my spoon from. Yeah, so my steel supply, there is an off-cut section where you can buy pieces of off-cut steel that people didn't want for a lot cheaper. So when I went, I was looking for specific types of stainless steel, but I wasn't paying as close of attention to like the size of it. I just wanted stainless steel in the specific alloy. And so, and I bought this thing like, I don't know, probably 7 years ago, so I don't remember exactly which alloy it is. But I bought it so that it would be food safe, so that I could make a set of silverware from it. And I was originally anticipating that I would be using the press instead of hand forging these silverware. So I kind of feel like maybe I, bit off a little bit more than I could chew, maybe not. We did a pretty decent spoon on Monday. We had, a little bit of extra time, like another hour, and we would have had a beautiful spoon. So hopefully, we'll be able to correct mistakes and be a little bit quicker with this spoon today. Yeah, so on Monday we were testing the stainless steel that I bought. And so this is the spoon blank that I kind of made. So we tapered that back and we were going to start twisting it. But I realized that I couldn't find my bending bars and like my twisting bars. So we got one like partial twist on here. And I haven't been able to make a new twisting wrench. So I kind of stopped at that point. So we're going to do a different design that's not a twisted design this time. I'd also really like to increase the size of this bowl just a little bit further. We still have a lot of meat on here where we could like increase the width if we wanted to when we're bowling, especially when we're bowling that out. But this is the one that we made on Monday. Ping, thank you for the subscription and the renewal. We're working on the spoon today. We tested one on Monday. Yes, we tested one Monday, this one. Thank you so much for renewing your subscription, Ping. Always grateful for the support. Nightbot is another popular one. Yeah, I think I have a friend who uses Nightbot. She streams video games. She's actually the person who got me into Twitch to begin with. She was streaming our raids in Elder Scrolls Online. So I didn't know that there was like streaming to be until she started streaming. So I was kind of a personality on her stream for a while. And then she made me a mod of her channel. So I do know like how to mod. I'm not very quick at it, but I know how to. And then, so I've kind of been modeling my stream a little bit after, or like some of the tech stuff after hers. So yeah, I think I need to get Nightbot or, you know, another one. That way it can kind of automatically post my socials and like you guys can, you know, put a couple widgets in there for, yeah, I mean an injury counter would be fun. You know, maybe like a swear jar. Sometimes I swear a little too much. Can you overwork a piece from heating cycles? Yes, you can. You can definitely overheat a piece. So every time, it's more typical for high carbon steels, which would be tool steels or like blade steels. If you have a high carbon steel and you heat it too long, you can actually start burning the carbon out of the steel, which will reduce its hardness and it will kind of, you know, reduce the alloy's quality. I have less, or like that happens a lot more frequently when you are using a coal forge than when you are using a gas forge. So I don't really worry about that with my gas forge. I just don't get it quite hot enough for that. But yeah, you can definitely burn the carbon out of your steel if you're not careful. There we go. That's a much bigger bowl area for our spoon. I'm a lot happier with that. Here, let me. Wow. So we're starting to isolate that out where the bowl is going to be. And then we're going to need to draw this back. So what we're kind of doing is we're kind of treating it as though it's almost a leaf. It's a very similar process, creating that bowl area. We really want to taper in the tip of the spoon so you've got that like nice shovel area. And then we're going to want to widen that out a bit. So right now, like I said, we're kind of tapering back the handle because it's kind of, I guess, how I approach it, I guess. Part of the reason I do that, though, is because the thinner that spoon, the bowl section is, the more scale is going to develop on that, and the more it's going to move, and it could definitely crack. So we kind of have we need to create a balance of thinning down the handle as well as creating that bowl section. Yep. So I think, let's see. Yeah. I'm thinking about that Nightbot again. I need to stop thinking about the technology stuff while I'm actually doing the blacksmithing stuff, because it's two different parts of my brain. I've got the, problem solving going on over here, but there's also problem solving but there's also muscle memory happening at the same time with the blacksmithing. So it's kind of difficult to hold both things in my mind at the same time. Oops, sorry. No, it's not a big deal. I love, I can multitask, but I think it's the technology stuff because I feel like I have to put more of my brain into that stuff because I don't already understand it. So like as far as the blacksmithing stuff, I understand that relatively well. I have a very good understanding of steel and different types of metal and how they're going to work, how they're going to move, and more of like a chemical knowledge, a little bit of a chemical knowledge, I guess. I'm not like a metallurgist or anything, but I have a general overview, just enough to be dangerous, of metallurgy. So that stuff comes a lot easier to me. It's like the technology, the computers and the cameras and stuff, that's the stuff that I'm just like, I get overwhelmed. So, yeah. But I mean, this is a great opportunity for me to learn multiple skills and brush up on things. So I've been having a lot of fun streaming for you guys. Problem solving and learning things. I'm a lot better with computers now. Be the artist, do the thing. Everything else will fall into place. Thanks, Dirty Smith. Yes, exactly, and that's definitely how it works. So yeah, I'm really rusty with my blacksmithing. It's, you know, I've only really been back doing it for about 2.5 months from a 5-year break. And I mean, it's kind of like riding a bike where it's like you totally get the muscle memory and it's a little bit back, but you start out and you're a little bit wobbly at first, and it takes a little bit for you to get back on that bike and just start being able to do a bike marathon again. So I'm kind of slowing myself down a little bit by doing the technology stuff, but we're doing what we can and we're learning as we go. All right. On the correct camera this time. All right. Okay, so for our next heat, we're going to go back over to the horn so we can kind of start tapering back the handle on this spoon. We've isolated out the bowl section and I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm gonna start tapering out that handle a little bit, just enough that we can kind of move or like fit the entire handle over the face of the anvil, so that we can kind of use that a little bit to straighten things out, and we will work on the bowl a little bit. So it's funny that Dirty Smith commented today, because back when I first started blacksmithing, I watched your channel on YouTube like all the time. A lot of what you've done on your YouTube channel is, it helped me understand what I was learning from the in-person learning that I was getting at the Memphis Metals Museum and some of my local friends. And the Illinois Blacksmith Association and the Missouri Blacksmithing Association. And so I watched your channel and I watched Alex Steele's channel, and it's been several years now, but yeah. So it's kind of interesting, having you watch me, because now I feel a little self-conscious, and I know that, you know, everybody's just people, so I will try to tone down my starstruckness. Alright, we got an ad coming up soon, so we are going to let the piece soak in the heat a little bit further while the ad is going. Glad it helped your journey. Yeah. Thank you for posting your stuff. I don't think that I would have, you know, thought to do YouTube and Twitch without people like you. Let's see. I have a background in fabrication more than blacksmithing, so and as well as silversmithing. So a lot of that has kind of translated relatively directly, but a lot of it is also very indirect. So I have a overview of how it should work. But getting it to work that way is a different story sometimes. All right. So we've got, oh, I need to flip my cameras. Refresh my clips before I forget. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. So we are back from that ad break, so I am going to go back to forging. So we're starting to lengthen out the handle pretty nicely. A little bit further and we will have our handle length. Alright. It's actually starting to get rather warm in here. Trade out the jacket for a apron. got a good amount of heat coming from both my heater and my forge, so I should be able to move a little bit easier. Right. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. So we're starting to get a little bit of twisting going on. So I think on the next heat, we're going to go to the flat of the anvil so that I can kind of fix that twisting. Some of it we can just twist by, or untwist by hammering on the flat of the anvil, and the rest of it we might have to upset the corners in so that we can fix those flat planes. But we're going, we're making it happen. Yeah, I don't think that we're actually going to get that snow that they were predicting. 9 inches is quite a lot, and I just don't feel like it's going to happen unless it happens overnight. Like, I can still see the grass out the window over there. It's kind of weird because everybody like canceled everything this morning. No school. A lot of people's work got canceled. It's almost like there's a waste. So it's like every time that happens in my area, like the next time we get like a huge storm coming in, people don't want to cancel. So there's like a lot of extra crashes and traffic because they just don't want to cancel again. It was really bad like a couple months ago when we had that last weather. When we had the last snowstorm, we had like 6 to 8 inches of snow in certain places, and I got stuck in the house for about a week and a half because my partner was a little bit too busy to get out there and remove all of the snow from the driveway. And I drive a rear-wheel drive truck, so it's very difficult for me to get through there. I threatened to load it up with bags of coal so that we could get out, but he ended up using salt and shoveling it out eventually. I take up an inch for every storm, right? I kind of feel like 9 inches was a gross overestimation. So I don't know. Like I said, unless it's coming overnight, I could definitely see it come overnight, and then maybe we'll get that 9 inches. But canceling stuff today seemed a little bit premature. Maybe ending things early, but I don't know about, about canceling early morning stuff. taken out a lot of that twist, and we're starting to get a really nice long handle. So I'm going to grab the spoon that we are using as our demo piece, or like our template. I'm going to kind of compare it a little bit. So this is a tablespoon, and this is our piece that we have. It looks like we have a decent amount of material here. It's not quite as long as this bowl is, but I think that we will still have plenty of material to create a longer, skinnier bowl. Because when we crush that down, we'll get a little bit of length as in addition to our width. So I think it'll be all right. But I think our handle is going to be really, really long. So, let's see about correcting that. So I think some of that scuff has made me a little bit on edge, so I kind of feel like I'm not as relaxed as maybe I could be. So I think I'm making a few errors with my smithing today. But it's alright. That's the beauty of blacksmithing. A lot of it you can just correct. It is not like wood where it's like you measure twice and cut once. This way you can really correct a lot of your mistakes and your errors. So I know that I can fix my piece and make sure that it turns out all right. So that's a very comforting thought. But it's like anytime you do something live, you know, all error, you always screw up you do a demo and it's like that's the time that you screw up. You can do it 100 times perfect, but the time that you're going to do it as a demo, that's the time you're going to screw up. Life's funny that way. So I've got a good heat going on in the forge, so we're getting a really quick heat, or we're heating our piece very quickly. I'm gonna move over here. We're doing pretty decently as far as our the amount of work that we're doing for the moment. I wish I could go. Yeah, my brain's a little frazzled. Sorry, guys. Lots and lots of scuff today. But that's all right. That's how life goes. So let's see. What do we got going? whatnot. Still trying to come up with some good emotes for the channel. I'd like to add a few more. And I keep saying that I'm going to do that, and I've got to actually sit down and do it. So I'm going to try and do that next week. There's also a couple of, I'd like to do some pre-roll edits so that, you know, when I am struggling in the beginning of the stream with like sound and stuff like that, you guys won't actually have to, you know, just watch me playing on the computer. So I've got a couple of videos that we've shot, so I've got to do some editing and some graphics on those. So we'll be working on those next week as well. Let's see, what else is going on? We've got the pre-roll, the mid-roll, like the be right back, and I've got an end roll so that when we are raiding off, once again, you won't have to watch me messing with the computer and stuff like that. Let's see. You're doing good in my book. Some ideas. Oh, for... What is the one that's spinning? Some fire and emotes. Yeah, what's the one that's spinning? Let's see. Will it give me an OBS what this one is? Oh, it's a little anvil spinning. That's cool. So I've got an idea for like a little propane one that I'd like to do, but I tried to make it one time, but it wasn't, I wasn't happy with it. I've kind of been doing a lot of this in GIMP, which is a free graphics program, very similar to Photoshop, but it's a little bit more primitive. And I'm not the best artist in the world. I mean, I went to art school, but I was a 3D artist and not a 2D artist, so my drawing is kind of a little bit iffy. Nobody ever taught me drafting or anything like that, so I kind of fumbled my way through. I wasn't happy with the propane one, but some of the other ones turned out all right. But I would totally do an anvil one. I think that would be adorable. I'd also like to do one that is like more of like a maker's mark kind of thing. I don't really have a maker's mark per se, but I'd like to make a maker's mark, and then I'd like to do that as an emote for you guys to check out. And let's see, what other ones would be really good? An anvil, some fire. Lighting we did talk about that Light the Forge one, where it was like the forge and then it had the animated flames shooting up. We talked about that one. That was entertaining. I'll have to actually animate that one. So that'll be a challenge too. My partner mentioned that maybe we could do, like, we could shoot with the cameras a little tiny video, and then we could like reduce the resolution so that it is like the tiny emote sizes. So I'm not sure how that would work, but it might work. Maker's mark is a good idea. Yeah, like I said, I have to come up with a maker's mark. I had a maker's mark way back when I first started like doing metalworking in general, more like a fabrication. But it was kind of a Phoenix, and then I found out that Phoenix Forge is a thing, and the guys over there, they use the Phoenix as their maker's mark, so I definitely don't want to use that, so I kind of got to come up with something else. I think that it's going to be, you know, Ray's Smithy, you know, as the branding that I'm using, so instead of, you know, what I had previously wanted to do. So I think the maker's mark is going to have something to do with that. Ooh, what are these ones? Angry Peak. And what is that one? button mash. That makes sense. Button mash would be a good one. Or maybe, you know, thumb smash. I think we talked about that one once. But they are tiny videos. Yeah, so that, I guess then it would work if I did like the animated Forge one with just the video. Making decent progress on this guy. I think I'm gonna flip him because I've got a large section right here that I need to taper down a lot. So I think we can do that pretty easily in the next heat. And then after I'm satisfied with the width of the handle, I think I'm gonna start working on creating the bowl. Yeah, we talked about doing an emote of like a thumb smash emote the other day when I was making a set of tongs. When I was drifting in the hole, I missed my punch and I hit my thumb. And then you guys were asking me to do an emote of hammering my thumb. So I don't like doing that. But it would be fun to have, or to give you guys an emote to be like, ow, or do, for, you know, smashing a thumb. Yes, exactly. Or maybe I could do like the, you know, an emote for each strikes, because I follow the 3 strikes in your out rule. 3 major errors or injuries, and you go, or you leave the shop and come back fresh the next day. So I do that because if I have created, you know, if I've created 3 errors or 3 injuries, then I'm just too tired and I'm not in the right headspace to be out in the shop. And because I make my own time out here, I have the ability to do that. So it would be fun to maybe have, you know, the 3 strikes and you're out emotes. I would very much like to not get to the 3rd strike in the middle of a stream, though. Some days, though. Some days. We're starting to squish that back, and we've got plenty of length on our handle. So I think one more heat on this, and then we're gonna start working on the bowl. Starting to think that while I didn't really want to do a twisted handle, I think that might actually be the best for this particular piece. just the way that I have formed the handle. It's a little bit thicker than I wanted it to be, and I think it would look better. We'll see what we can do. I still want to do the tapered fishtail, so we'll see what we can do to kind of correct that better and, you know, bring it back. But I guess there's always twists. So, let's see, what else do we want to do for our channel? So we're going to, I guess I need to look into doing a bot so that I can, or so that it'll put like my socials and stuff like that periodically. There is a couple bots that you can do. Like, I know that KoFi has a bot that I was looking at. And I definitely didn't want to put a KoFi bot in there because it's like, it feels to me like it's a little bit too much like begging. But I mean, they like the durations of like how often that it posts the information. It kind of seemed like a little quick to me. I think there was like one that was like 5 minutes. I think there was also one that was like 10 and 15 minutes. So I don't know, what is a good happy medium for, you know, for like a bot to like post socials and things like that? Let me know if you guys have any like opinions or anything like that. It's kind of like I've watched other streamers before, but I've never really like timed how often their bots post like their socials and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm open to suggestions for that. Oh, my channel points have no name yet. KoFi StreamBot is here currently. Is my KoFi StreamBot? I did not know. Or is it actually posting my KoFi? Because I thought I turned that off. You play with it, you can set a time and lines of chat for some. And if you don't meet the chat lines, the timer doesn't fire, the timer, ooh, that would be good. Because sometimes chat is a little bit on the quiet side, and I think that it would be awful to have like 6 times where like the chat bot comes up because it's like 5 minutes or something. Because sometimes, you know, I'm very aware that I'm like a second monitor or like a second tab stream. So like, you know, you guys get busy and with whatever that you need to be doing like as your primary thing that you need to do. And sometimes the chat is a little bit quiet. So I think that if we had too many of them all just in a row, that wouldn't look nice. Okay. Yeah, it is in the channel. But it is not posting because I think I turned it off. Like I said, I felt like the KoFi bot would be a little bit too beggy, at least at first. Because like I just want to get the stream set up and make everything nice and happen for the stream before I'm, you know, because I'm not worried about money right this second, you know. I'm just kind of like, I want to have a product that people actually want to interact with. Something of value for you guys before I worry too much about money. So I'm really glad. It looks like my ads are starting here shortly. So I am going to wait until those are done before I do another heat. Yes, like the way Bob Wiley said, baby steps. Yes, baby steps. Because I mean, I'm really new to this. And I kind of want, right now I kind of feel like my product is like the bare minimal viability. And I want a little bit more value than that before I, you know, really start hard money grabbing. And I don't really want a money grab to begin with. I think I'd rather just like use the stream and even the YouTube as kind of like advertisement for like eventually when I open up commission work again. I think that would be more along the lines of what I'm trying to do. FrostyTools.com has a cool AI bot. Basic features are free and you can purchase more advanced stuff. Interesting. Let's see. If I post that in my Discord, that way I remember it. I'm just going to post it in my general. Frosty Tools. There we go. I'll post it in my Discord. That way I will remember it. Because I don't remember things like that on my own, so I gotta like post it on the Discord. That way I can like remember and add it. Let me switch my clips real fast. And by the time we're done with that, maybe we will be done with ads. Turn on. So my Anvil cam like only actually records 30-minute clips. So if I go even a second over 30 minutes, it'll shut down the clip and then I'll lose little sections of what's happening on the Anvil cam. So I gotta be really careful that I am not actually using the Anvil when the clip ends, because it is obnoxious when I'm looking for, Anvil cam video footage in my edits and then it's just not there. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm currently running into in my edit. There's a couple places where I only have the wide stand-up camera and I don't have the Anvil cam. And so it's just like there's a little bit of footage that I would prefer to flip the cameras for. So I think that lately what I've been doing is kind of cutting those sections out and seeing if I can't like piece together other things. And make it function that way. It seems to be doing all right. I'm pretty happy with the edit so far. So it looks like my handle is a little bit longer than I'm looking for it to be. I think I cut the material a little. I cut 4 inches of the material, and it looks like I am drawing it down a little bit further than I want it to go. So I guess I might end up cutting off the end. Maybe. I have to decide. I think it's drying down really nicely though. It is taking a lot less, or I guess it's staying hot a lot. One more time, gather our thoughts. are getting a lot less work time with the amount of heat that we're getting because we're working with stainless steel. It is also a lot harder to move that material, and so I am having a little bit of trouble making it do what I want it to do, but it's starting to work, and I am still learning as I go. So if we don't end up finishing the spoon today, we will work on it a little bit more on Friday's stream, and then we might end up switching to mild steel again, because it's going to be a lot easier for me to quickly make some silverware out of that. So I will debate that this weekend if we decide, to go back to mild steel. I would much rather do the silverware in the stainless steel though, because it is it's more food safe. Well, it is food safe, whereas the mild steel is not unless you oil it, and it's never fun to it's just a lot of extra maintenance on that. Does my press work? Unfortunately, it does not right now. The bottle jack, for whatever reason, the overpressure valve is just tripping for no reason. So unfortunately, I still have yet to look at that. I need to look to see if there's any way that I can fix it, and if not, get another bottle jack. But this bottle jack, it's a Harbor Freight special, and there's that old adage that if you want to learn to use a new tool, you buy it at Harbor Freight first for like dirt cheap, and then if you break it, you buy a good version of it. Well, I've gotten to the point where I think I've broken my Harbor Freight tool, so we may have to buy a new bottle jack. Random question: have you worked with high-speed steel? Is it workable or good for other applications? High-speed steel. I'm not sure I'm familiar with high-speed steel. Is that like a tool steel or a special alloy? Sometimes there's a lot of proprietary alloys of steel out there. Could it be one of those? Maybe if you give me an application that it's normally used for, I might be able to give you a better answer. It's beyond tool steel, used in cutter heads for milling machines and lathes. Typically, I'm not going to be using milling machines and lathe bits and tools for forging. Those are usually very, very hard steels. It's kind of not something that I would attempt personally. I know that I'm sure it's not like a titanium or like a cobalt or anything like that, but it's gotta be semi-similar, because that's your normal bits are made of that. Welcome in, Jack Frost. Welcome in. So it's not something that I'm familiar with. It's not something that I would seek out to forge. But I mean, if you haven't already, you can always test it. I would imagine that, or when I'm testing new steel and unfamiliar steel, and I want to harden it, I tend to use, I tend to default to air cool. And if it doesn't get the temper that I want, then you try the try oil cool or like oil quench, and then from there you try water quench, and you'll see if it hardens the way you want it to in that order, because that's going to give you the best chance of not fracturing your tool by cooling it too quickly. Test that follow button if you haven't. Yes, thank you, Ping. You are great. All right. Kind of straighten this out a little bit. We've got a nice taper going here. I've gotten rid of a lot of that bulk that we had going on, so I'm pretty happy with that. But we've lost that fishtail that we were really going for in the beginning, and we've got a really long handle. So I think what we're going to end up doing is changing directions a little bit. Maybe we'll do a twist once I'm able to find my twisting bars. But right now we are going to flip this around and start working on the bowl of the spoon. I often see in my industrial auctions piles of used or new cutter heads and bits, and wondering if they were good for anything else. Jack Frost follows all Smiths. Easy choice. This is the way. This is the way. Yeah, I have a friend who has, like, he's about as experienced with blacksmithing as I am, but he has, like, he works as a, his day job is that he fixes train cars. So, like, when a train crashes, and like the cars get all mangled, so they take it to his place of employment, and he welds them back together. Anyway, he's got a power hammer in his farm shed, like his barn, I guess. And so they actually get a lot of different like jackhammer bits and like really hardened tools like that in their line of work. So his boss will send him home with like jackhammer bits and stuff like that. He uses his power hammer to straighten them out. It's a lot cheaper to pay him to straighten out those bits than it is for them to buy new bits. So he gets paid pretty decently to do that. But I believe the ones that he was doing were air cool tool steels. So yeah, he did a lot of repair work on those. But I've never I've never really worked with anything specifically with forging. I mean, there's a chance that maybe they'd make good drifts, maybe. Because like a drift it's a punch. So you've got like a round punch, kind of like this guy, right? And a drift is basically, it's a round punch, but it starts with a chisel on the one end, and then it gets fatter as it goes, and it rounds out. It ends up in the diameter of the fattest section of a drift is the widest you want your hole to be, and then you hammer it on the end. And I mean, if you were wanting a drift for like something that you were doing a lot of, like if you decided you wanted to do like tenons for a fence, like a really long fence, and you wanted all of your tenons, or the holes for your tenons to be the same size, maybe you might want to do a drift out of that. I mean, that it's a, you know, an idea. There's always going to be, you know, people who do things one way or another, but I guess that would be a use that I could possibly see. What do you do? I weld trains together. Do you mind if I post a link on Junkyard Steals? Go for it. You can post that link. As long as it's not like, you know, I'm fine with links as long as they're not from bots. Yeah. I'll take a look at that link. Here, let me see what we got. It is a list of thing is this item. So, oh yeah, I've seen lists like that before. Oh yes, these are like really, really useful. I've seen several different links for sheets like that. And then it'll tell you what like truck springs are good for, what brake drums are good for, and different sets of ball bearings and stuff like that. Those are really handy to have. Really handy. I used to have a link in my, you know, my Google favorites that had a list very similar to that. So yes, that is a great resource. All right. All right, we're gonna start kind of smashing down on this bowl. All right, we've got a good start here. It's starting to come through the bowl of that. So I think we really need to start pinching in that a little bit. And we need to pay attention to where we want the handle to start. But I think we've got a good start for that bowl. We'll crush that down and then we'll change from the regular forging hammer and we'll go to a cross peen, so that we can get a lot more horizontal movement. So I really like to start doing my leaves and my bowls for spoons with the just kind of flatten them out with a forging hammer. But immediately when we get to a point where we are able to kind of lay them flat along the anvil face, I like to change over to the cross peen hammer, because the cross peen hammer, the head is very good at directing your material in two directions as opposed to smashing it flat like a cow patty. So you're going to get a lot more movement parallel to the handle of this hammer than perpendicular to it because of the shape of the head of this hammer. Do you mind if I ask, is that a one-car garage? It is a one-car garage. Attached here, like I have like a breezeway that's between my house and the garage. And then I also have what I call the cold shop. It is about a 20 by 20 foot room that is behind the cameras. And I do silversmithing and jewelry in there. And like just kind of more sheet work. So when we bought this property, the previous owner did not use this garage as a garage. He was a woodworker, so this used to be a wood shop. And so when we moved in, I turned it into my smithy. So if I were to open this garage door, you could see there's a 2-car carport behind this garage, and that's where we actually keep our cars. So yeah, it's kind of one of those, I don't know, open secrets, maybe? But yes, I am in a 1-car garage. We originally had plans on building an outbuilding so that I could get like a power hammer and stuff and then it wouldn't shake the house. But we just haven't had the funds to do that because shortly after we bought this house, building material prices skyrocketed. It is a lovely setup. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. One of these days I'll post a short where I actually go through the entire shop. Because not only this section over here is my blacksmithing setup, but over there I have all of my welding stuff on the other side of the garage. And then back in the off building, or I guess the other room, is my cold shop for my silversmithing and jewelry work. So I've got like that one's my Beverly shear, that one's my guillotine shear. So I have a guillotine shear in there that's really interesting to look at for cutting sheet. And I used to do a lot of sheet work, raising bowls and stuff. That is always a blast. I also had, at one point I also had a casting setup, so I have a lot of casting tools laying around. I kind of am a jack of all trades when it comes to metalworking, but blacksmithing is the one that I think that I enjoy the most, or at least enjoy incorporating the most. A lot of the times when I'm, working on my pieces of furniture, I'll incorporate blacksmithing in with my fabrication. So that's my favorite thing to do, is to make furniture. But it's a little bit too big for me right now. I'm still getting over or regaining my stamina from getting sick about 5 years ago. Okay. So we've got some weird corners, dog earring up there, and we're kind of trying to hammer those back. So we're starting to get that nice shape in there for the roundness. So I think I'm all right with this shape for the moment. For our next heat, I'm going to get out the cross peen hammer and we're gonna start widening out that spoon bowl. Yeah, once you have an anvil and a hammer and some knowledge, spreading into other metals is kind of fun. See, I went the opposite route, right? I went to college, and I really wanted to be my dream was to sculpt the little statuettes, the geek statuettes. So like when you go to a comic shop or like a comic book convention and you see all those like geeky statues, like the stuff that like comes with the deluxe versions of video games and stuff like that. I wanted to build or make those sculptures. So I went into college thinking that I was going to do a lot of like clay work and eventually transition into 3D modeling in the computer. But I wanted to start in the traditional art first, and then after I hit my mandatory 3D design class, they taught us how to weld, and I just fell in love with it. So I just started, like, my love for metal started when I was like fabricating steel, using bending bars with cold steel and welding it all together. And then I fell in love with silversmithing because I took some jewelry classes or like silversmithing classes as an extension of my love of metal at the time. So from fabrication, I kind of spread into casting and jewelry work. And then I'm also a journeyman jeweler. I used to work for Signet, which is a jewelry conglomerate in the US. So they do repair work for Jared, Zales, and Kay's Jewelers. So I took their apprenticeship program, and I ended up like almost mastering that. And then from there, I had a friend who was really into blacksmithing, and I was like, well, I like metal, I'll try some of that. And then, yeah, that's how I got into blacksmithing, from all of that other stuff. So, I'm a little less blacksmithy and a little bit more of everything else, but I kind of feel like a lot of it did translate. But I mean, I kind of feel like I know a little bit more about certain aspects than other aspects, I guess. So yeah, that's me. And I've been doing metalwork since 2008? Yeah, 2008. Like I said, I took a break in 2020 because I got really, really sick. And then I started back up again in November. So I did a little bit of fabrication last summer, or I guess the summer before. I did a little bit of fabrication, but that was slow going, and because I was building like a couple of coffee tables, and so a lot of that was actually woodworking instead of metalworking, and I just don't like woodworking. Jack has a set of special skills. Special skills? What sort of special skills? That almost sounds ominous. Alright, we are actually going to change hammers. Now. Put that one away and take this one back. All right. Oh, come on. Ah. Slow down. Flip it over. Okay, and so while I'm using the crossbeam hammer, I'm actually focusing on the center area of this spoon. And the reason that I am focusing on that center area is so that I can start pushing all of that central material outward towards the edges. If we start in the center, pushing that material out, we'll get a lot more horizontal movement. Than if we were to start on the edges. They tend to get a little bit crinkly and start developing a lot of scale, and you just can't get quite as much movement if you start on the ends. Oh, my ads are in progress. He is an interesting man that also squishes the metal. Excellent. Yeah, I really love blacksmithing. It is one of my favorite skills that I've learned throughout the years. Like my second favorite skill is probably actually silversmithing, like raising bowls. So, do I have any bowls I've raised around? I mean, I do in the other room, maybe. I do a lot of things, primarily blacksmithing. Dirty is far more famous than me, though. Well, I mean, maybe you need to get a YouTube channel, too. I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm trying, you know, to get that YouTube recognition. I've been posting a lot of my VODs up there, and then I'm doing edits for the projects that we've been doing. That's a cool anvil you're making. I wish I knew how to make an anvil. So this anvil, this is actually a hay button anvil. It is actually broken. Some of the more experienced smiths can probably, you know, tell that it is broken. But this anvil used to have a face, or a tool steel face that went from the end to over here. And so it broke, the face on this section right here broke off. So it's kind of got this weird step. But it's still a good anvil. It's still got a lot of bounce to it. Some blacksmiths in TikTok chain down their anvils. Guess they're worried about anvil theft. It's not necessarily just about chain or like anvil theft. Part of the reason that they'll chain down their anvils is to kind of cut down on the amount of noise that the anvils create, right? Every time you use the hammer on the anvil, it resonates, so the molecules vibrate, so like a cymbal on a set of drums, right? So using the chain kind of cuts down that vibration. So I don't have a chain, but I do have a set of magnets that do the same thing. So this is a welding magnet. There's two of them. They're both rare earth magnets. So they're very magnetic and very strong pull. So if I hammer on the anvil without the magnets, you get that really long ring, right? So then if I put the magnet underneath the horn of the anvil, so you can tell that ring, it's not lasting nearly as long, right? So then I put this one on too, and while we've got a little bit of a ring, it's not nearly as bad, right? So it helps keep the sound down. I've got sound canceling headphones on, but they only go up to so many decibels. So using the magnets or the chain in other blacksmiths' case it'll save your ears a lot of hardship. Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes a little bit, I guess. Alright. Oh, I need to switch my clips because I didn't do that while the ad was going. And I'm gonna regret this later. Because I didn't get my last heat on the anvil cam. You guys saw it on the anvil cam, but it didn't record. I didn't realize anvils were so complicated. No wonder there is a rash of anvil thefts. Well, I think part of the reason that there's a rash of anvil thefts is because the prices of raw material for like steel and various other metals is incredibly high because the economy has been relatively, or the world economy has been relatively volatile recently. And when the stock economy is really, really volatile, then the raw material values start going high up because raw materials are always going to retain at least a semblance of value, whereas more soft money, investments kind of very fluctuate. So an anvil is a large chunk of a very valuable material. So a lot of people, they'll steal like copper or like anvils and stuff like that, and they'll sell them to the scrap for big money, or sometimes little money, it depends. So yeah. Where'd I put my, there, I put my tongs. Alrighty. Whoop. There goes the magnet. So we're starting to get a lot of spread there, and that's exactly what we want, but we're getting a little bit too much spread at the tip of this spoon. We want it to kind of come or taper back in. So I think I'm going to start focusing on that a little bit further, so that we can kind of bring that in a little bit. We'll probably spread out a little bit further back here. But I really want to get a nice rounded area at the beginning of the spoon. Did I set my nail on fire? It smells like burning hair. Oh, where? This one. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like, there's a lot of things to know about blacksmithing and metal in general. So I try to keep my ear open and learn as much as I can when I, just around. I don't know. It smells like burning hair, and I'm like, I have my hair tied back, and I didn't get my fingernails close enough to the steel to set anything on fire, so I'm not sure where the hair is coming from. So weird. Okay. So I don't think that we're going to finish the spoon today, so I think that we're going to extend this project into Friday. And we will figure out where we want to go from there. I had originally scheduled this project to be 5 days, but I'm thinking it it might take a little bit longer, so we will keep going, or well, I'll keep that in mind as we continue going. So we should be able to finish the spoon and start the fork on Friday. That will be the goal. I really wanted to finish the spoon today, but I think because of our technical difficulties, I started a little bit on the late side, and then I've done a couple of boneheaded moves with the actual spoon itself. So I think it's going to take me a little bit of time to kind of correct my mistakes. And I will, so I think that I will do about half of Friday for the rest of the spoon, and then we will start that fork. How does that sound, guys? As I've got about 20 minutes left in our stream today. So I just don't think we'll get quite done. So hopefully it'll be all right. Yep. What is this Evo? This Evo is 95 Grizz. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I plan things and then, I'm like, this is going to be my last heat. And then it's like, no, one more heat. So, I mean, that's why we made that emote, because this always happens to me. It's always like, one more heat. So my propane has been doing really beautifully today. It hasn't frozen up. All right. Let's keep on keeping on. Couple more heats to kind of round that out. We're going to need to go back into these quarters that are kind of developing, and we're going to need to upset those back in to kind of round that out a little bit. We've got kind of a teaspoon going right now. I think we can add a little bit of material on this back end here to kind of lengthen out the spoon section. I think we've got plenty of material here that we can do that. We'll eventually want to kind of turn the spoon so that the flat lines up with that flat of the handle, but we can get a little bit more movement if we use that corner section wisely. Maybe a small bit of advice completely unasked for. I am 100% open to criticism, critique, and advice. I definitely know that I don't always take the most efficient or best route to do everything. And yeah, so feel free. Like I said, my wheelhouse is more silversmithing, jewelry, and fabrication. So blacksmithing is what I kind of, allow myself to do a little bit more because I think it's fun. I like it a lot. But yeah, I don't have nearly the amount of training in blacksmithing that I have in a lot of other disciplines with metal. Just if you're in a sealed wood car garage, would get a carbon monoxide detector if you do not have one, especially in winter. Oh, it's not sealed. This garage is not sealed. Right there, like right on the left-hand side of the camera, there's a door and it's open, right? And then that door adjoins to a breezeway, and there's like these little window panels that they kind of open up, and those are open, right? So I have complete breeze going back and forth in that breezeway, and then that door is open. So I've got plenty of ventilation. I had it put me down in the past. Oh, I mean, yes. That is like 100% something that I do pay attention to. My lungs are really not good. So I have spent a lot of effort trying to protect myself and my breathing. So yeah, it is something that I am definitely aware of, and I have taken precautions, though it's not visible on stream right now, I guess. But I appreciate the advice. But yeah, and then in the summer, we will bring the entire garage door open, so that way we've got all of the cross ventilation. I've got an industrial fan, so we open the garage door, and then there is a door in the shop on the other side, like in the cold shop, and so we get some awesome cross ventilation. And it gets hot, but it's not too hot. No worries, I wouldn't interrupt if it wasn't a safety thing. Yes, I totally appreciate that. And it is definitely something that a lot of people wouldn't really be aware of. But I was very aware of it. My instructors, like the people who taught me how to blacksmith, were very thorough with their safety lessons. So yeah, because I learned from the Memphis Metals Museum, and then I learned from a couple people who, work in machine shops, and they have a lot of the same issues in machining shops, or they can have the same issues in machining shops. So yeah. But thank you for your concern. I also have 2 fire extinguishers in the shop. Because it never fails. I get leaves in here, and occasionally I will have a spark jump. And I'm very, very aware. Alright, so we've got a little bit of a bite in there that I really need to take care of. So, we're starting to run out of time for our stream today, so I think what I might actually end up doing is grinding this out a tiny, tiny bit just to get those extra little corners off the tiny bit that's left. And I'll do that with the angle grinder before Friday. But other than that, I think we're starting to get okay, or look okay. And we will think about how we want to decorate this for Friday's stream. Jack never gave me safety tips when I stream. Sus. Yeah. When I first started blacksmithing, I did not live in this house. This wasn't my original shop. I had a detached garage in a different house, and my neighbor would occasionally come and knock on the garage door to make sure that I had plenty of ventilation. But the fun thing about that shop is that the door actually had a window, and somebody had smashed the window open, so there was plenty of ventilation to begin with anyway. It was really cold in that shop in the wintertime. But I also would smith with the garage door partially open. It's kind of like, I don't know why, but like when you can kind of stop your garage door at like about this wide. And I would do that in my old shop just to make sure that I had plenty of ventilation. Because you're more better than me. Vote better. But yeah, I try really, really hard to be very thorough with my, with my safety. I always try and give safety lectures anytime I'm using a grinder or, that sort of thing. Just make sure that you use, your safety equipment, you've got your sound canceling headphones, your safety glasses. I see so many people smithing without safety glasses. Oh my gosh. Safety glasses are very important. And then masks for any grinding or cutting, always. You can never, your lungs are very important. I would know. So yeah, I try very hard to keep safety in mind. Sometimes it doesn't drop to, it drops from the number 1 to like the number 2, but we do our best. Alright, I am out of water again. I need to get a bigger container up for my water. Alright. When I rented my shop, I had so many talks with the county about safety. Oh my gosh, I can imagine. It is always a pain in the butt to get a blacksmithing shop insured. So like, I have house insurance, but don't tell my insurance company that I have a shop out here. So yeah, it's so hard to get insurance for a blacksmith because like nobody wants to insure you for fire, and it's you've got to be really, really careful about that, and they'll assess you and make sure that you have all of the safety equipment that you need. Fire suppression, ventilation, what else? Like the proper power for all of your stuff. Everything's got to be up to code. They're really particular. Yeah. Make sure, yeah. But that's why I don't dox myself, or at least I try not to dox myself. Wow, good to know. Yeah, so it's definitely not something that, it's definitely something that you need to think about when you're talking blacksmithing, because so many things can go wrong. I mean, if they're not likely to go wrong if you are very confident and you know what you're doing. But confidence is kind of that double-edged sword where it's like, when you are most confident, sometimes that's when you make the biggest mistakes. But yeah, just you got to be really conscious about all of the different safety measures that can come up, and the safety issues that can come up when you're blacksmithing. And more safety issues come up when you are blacksmithing inside of a building than if you are blacksmithing out in the open. That is also why I never forge with coal inside this building. Anytime I have my coal forge out, it's out in the driveway and out in the carport, because that's nothing I want to mess with. So yeah, because I don't really have a place to cut a hole for my flume, so we tend to do gas inside and coal outside. we've got about 4 minutes until our next ad. I think that's plenty of time for another heat, but I think this is probably going to be my last heat. I kind of want to give the bandwidth back to my partner for work. So, and we usually do about 2.5 hours of streaming. So we will definitely finish off this spoon on Friday. And we will also start our fork. We're going to do a 2-prong fork. And then we'll kind of assess at the end of the project if we decide we want to do another like a 3-prong fork. Because we could do that too. It's just a different process. Or at least it's a different process or like a methodology that I do, I guess. Howdy, y'all. Avidoches. Hello, welcome. We are about to end the stream, but we are going to be doing one more heat, so I hope you enjoy the heat that we have. Got lots and lots of width that we're getting. So we're actually going to get a really, really round spoon. So if I can get it, or like I'll try and get out the angle grinder and kind of shape that a little bit before Friday. And then we'll bring that width back a little bit further so that we can get a more spoony spoon shape. But I think that's how we're going to end the stream. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming. If there's somebody you want to raid off to, let me know. I tend to raid off to bladesmiths, glass blowers. I can do jewelry, potters, things like that. Is Johnson streaming? I like to raid Johnson. I like to raid glass blower, Valencia glass. Is anybody interested in any of those? Or are they streaming? Valencia glass is streaming. Valencia glass is so fun. It was nice meeting you too, Jack. Thank you for joining me. I think I met you in the blacksmithing Discord server. Like to raid Valencia or Johnson more? I have Valencia queued up right now. Let's go to glass. Okay. We will raid Valencia glass. If it lets me. It's being weird. A little bit laggy because, like I said, my partner is also using the internet. Thank you all for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.